All right, hi everyone, welcome. Thank you very much for coming out to the very first Geek'd Con here in Tyler, Texas. My name is Stewart Smith. I am the digital managing editor for Town Square Media. So I'm in charge of content for websites for Mix 93.1, Classic Rock, Hot 107, and KNUE. So on behalf of Town Square Media, thank you so much. We couldn't put this on without you guys. And let's give another round of welcoming applause to the lovely Miss Helen Slater. Helen, thank you so much for taking time to come here and be with us. We really, really appreciate it.
So happy to be here, and thank you so much for coming out. Really, really appreciate it. We got a super something.
So, what we want to do, we just want to take some time, do a Q&A with you, and then we'll kind of extend questions out into the audience for a bit. So, just to get things started, you know, you're on a tiny little show called Supergirl. A few of you may have heard of it. You know, you being the original Supergirl yourself, you know, you get the rare opportunity to kind of come full circle from having played Supergirl herself now to playing, you know, Supergirl's earthly mom. So talk a little bit about that. What's that experience been like for you being on the show?
Well, the girl playing Supergirl, Melissa Benoist, is fantastic. I really just want to start by saying she's been so lovely and really a hard worker. We compared notes with how we got into physical shape to play a superhero, which was very fun. Hers was a much shorter time to get ready. But in terms of being Supergirl at 18 years old and now playing the mom in my 50s...
I won't tell anyone, don't worry.
I know, well, I just told
your secret's safe with everyone here.
Exactly.
And when the video goes on the internet.
I don't know why that's like such a shy thing, but they're very, very nice. The people that are creating the TV show Supergirl and bringing me in, I think, has been really a lovely thing for the fans. And Dean Cain, as you know, plays the dad.
Right.
And we're hoping to have more of him next season. So it's been a great experience. Really, really grateful for it.
So did Melissa come to you, did she ask any specific kind of advice about...
We had some fun trading stories and how much we were grateful for the stunt person because they would line up all the shots and kind of make sure for the physical dangers that was sort of... And my stunt double, Tracy Michaels, became one of my best friends, was like my maid of honor at my wedding in 1989. So
oh, wow.
We really do rely on them, yeah. For her training, she did, I think, weight training, and she was doing cardio, like a very sort of traditional 2016. The guy that trained me for Supergirl in 1982, 83, Alf Joint, also trained Christopher Reeve, and it was very old school. So it was weight training, running, swimming, horseback riding, fencing, trampolining, like anything sporty. He felt that was going to make, you would be able to feel that when you see them on stage. That was really interesting.
So what, kind of along those same lines, I mean, Supergirl was your first major film,
yes.
One of your first major roles that you had ever done. How surreal was that, playing this character, playing someone that, that people knew that well?
Well, as we know, there haven't been, only now there's been more about girl superheroes, but back in the early 80s, that really was like the first, that hadn't quite been done yet. It was surreal because my whole life changed. I was 18 when I got the part. I moved to London, which was very exotic and unusual. I had never been out of the country before that. And very, at times, isolating, but really an amazing, amazing experience and changed my life forever.
So, being on the new show, did you ever reach a point where you just kind of felt maybe overly possessive of the character, like watching something that Melissa would do? It's like, no, that's, I wouldn't have done that, Did you ever feel protective in a way?
But she does such a great job, honestly. I never had a thing of protection. I thought, oh my gosh, they're getting it so right. She has a sense of humor. She's sort of self-effacing. I felt like they gave her a lot more just human qualities than in the original movie that I did, and I thought that was so smart. Super, super smart.
What's been kind of the biggest gap between, how they present the character now versus, how they were presenting her back when you were making the film? Either in terms of be it special effects or characterization, what struck you the most being on the show versus your time on the film?
Well, I think in the film they kind of tried to keep it like very iconic, kind of tried to do Supergirl like a Superman movie in a way, kind of.
Almost kind of fantastical.
Yeah, like
elements
very
like that.
fantasy. But the Supergirl series, they make her much more. You can relate to her a lot more.
Much more
She's
grounded.
More grounded. That's a great word for sure. You're very good at that.
Well, thank you. What was your impression of the character when you first played her? Like, what really stood out to you about her that you hadn't really either considered, or really realized whenever you were first?
Well, just to be playing someone that was trying to do good in the world, I guess that was something. So that stood out. Just someone fighting for good.
Yeah. So what about the show has been? Oh my. What's been the biggest surprise about the show, just in terms, special effects? Is it what
the new series?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they do so much more special effects in 1 week than I think we did in the whole movie because it's so much more advanced now.
Yeah.
And Melissa does do some wire work, but a lot of it can be done in the computer, which was not even, mine was very dinosaur-y back in the day.
So in other words, you spent a lot of time hanging around the set, literally, whenever you were.
Yeah, exactly. Hanging from wires.
So, kind of rewinding a little bit back to something that you had mentioned, when first playing Supergirl in 1984, it really was kind of trailblazing having such a prominent female superhero like that. So what was it like for you to kind of, especially within the context, because the Tim Burton Batman film hadn't come out yet, and there really just in general there weren't a whole lot of comic book movies. I mean, now you have one coming out almost every other week.
I know.
It's just this flood. But back then, just kind of that visual medium hadn't really been defined yet. So what was it like for you, kind of being a pioneer in that respect? Well,
I mean, I was so young that I felt very much like I was just in this vortex of the Salkins who had produced all the Superman movies and produced this, and I was kind of just trying to do a good job, honestly.
Yeah.
But I was very aware that they were, really trying to make it the best possible movie they could, for sure.
Was it surreal at all? I mean, just that experience?
Definitely, and yeah, for sure. Wearing that costume and the cape.
Does the costume make you as self-conscious as people say?
It puts you in another world. It's funny, I have a friend that asked me, like, do you wear the Supergirl costume when you go to Comic-Cons? Like, when you go to Texas, are you going to wear the Supergirl costume? I'm like, absolutely not. I am not. That would just be too odd to do that, isn't it? Unless I was doing cosplay, and then, maybe. But I wouldn't do it as Supergirl.
Do you still have it?
No, it was you weren't allowed to keep anything.
Oh, really?
It was very, very... Yeah.
You hear all these stories, Ryan Reynolds literally walking off the set in his Deadpool costume.
Oh, is that true?
Like daring the producers to take it from him and things like that.
I hadn't heard that.
I wasn't sure if you were that bold or.
That's so interesting.
So, not only obviously playing Supergirl and then playing Supergirl's mom, but you've also played Lana L in the Smallville show. Talk about just your connection and attachment to the Superman family. What kind of perspective do you have on that? On the character of Superman and Supergirl.
Sure.
What's it been like being a part of this specific superhero royalty for so long?
It does keep it's like a gift that keeps giving. Honestly, I mean I feel so grateful to be part of that world, and I know that the fans have been so lovely with their support of seeing. They love when people are put in. Smallville was so great at that. They just would take actors and actresses from different Superman, Supergirl, whatever, and put them in. So I mean really just a great time. Greg Berlanti now, who's the new king of the superhero fiefdom, he's been very sweet as well. Very, very nice.
So talk a little bit about, if you can, I don't even know, I mean, do you find yourself watching other comic book movies or anything like that, just kind of when you're, away from your work, do you enjoy those kinds of things?
Yeah, I like fantasy, sure, yeah. Who doesn't? It's great fun.
Have you seen Captain America: Civil War?
Not yet.
Do you want to?
I mean,
I won't tell your
would love
bosses
to
at
see it.
DC if you do.
No.
It's okay.
Was it good? Did you?
I
like
loved it. I thought it was really good. Did you guys see it?
Yes.
Yeah?
Is it good?
Good? Should she go see it?
Yes.
I will.
Just walk up to the box office, tell them you're Supergirl. They'll probably let you in.
I don't think they.
Well, so let's shift gears for a little bit. You know, you've also done some stage work. You co-founded, I believe, a New York theater group with Gina Gershon. Is that correct?
Yeah, Naked Angels, and in Los Angeles, I'm part of an improvisation group Sunday nights with Helen Hunt and
Really?
Jason Alexander and my husband Rob Watsky, who founded it. We do improv for everything's donation-based for local charities. So you just come, give what you want, and we put on a show. And so it's been very.
Talk a little bit about that. You know, how did you get involved in stage acting? Was that something that you had tried to get in before film, or was that kind of an evolving desire to get into?
Well, I got to Performing Arts High School, like the Fame School. I don't know if you guys remember hearing about that. So I was always sort of dabbling in theater for my whole life. And improvisation, my friend Helen Hunt introduced me to my husband. We did improv together 30 years ago. So that's been part of my just upbringing. Yeah.
Well, so,
Maybe someone has a question. Should we?
Mike, you want to go? Does anybody have a question they'd like to ask, or?
Oh, mine is.
Could you do improvisation, stage, theater, and versus movie? Do you have a favorite movie?
Do I have a favorite film, television, theater? You know, they're all so different. The fun thing about theater is you're not worrying about how you look. So I kind of love that you sort of show up and we're making up these shows, and it's not as, in television and film you have that, you get 5 a.m. calls. Like when I did the Supergirl pilot, I had a 5 a.m. call in Leo Carrillo Beach, which was like 2 hours drive. Like you get there, you sit in a makeup, they're spackling you, curling you. So in that way, I think theater is more loose, but it's been very fun to be part of the superhero world. And you know, I made The Legend of Billie Jean in Texas, in Corpus Christi, Texas. Do any of you know where that is? Oh, it's the prettiest city too. Not as pretty as Tyler, but like super pretty.
Anyone else have a question?
The fact that you were in movies and TV, and now if you want to enjoy a show today, like a movie or whatever, but you've seen the man behind the curtain. You know what goes into it. And
Yeah.
Does that change the way you look at movies and stuff because you say, well, I know what they're doing behind the camera. So does that lessen or?
Well, it
increase
makes
your
me
pleasure for it?
it makes me really respect when it's done well, because films and television, it's such a collaborative medium. It's not like painting or composing where it's just you. You're depending on so many people. So when it's done well, I still have that feeling like, my God, what went into this, that they can make it just seem so flawless, and that kind of storytelling. It's very, very impressive, even now after all these years. I'm very, very appreciative.
Anyone else with a question? No?
Sure.
We'll go question number 2.
This is going to completely change
Oh, that's all right.
gears. So back in the day when you made Supergirl and Superman, there was what I describe as an innocence. You know, they never killed the bad guy.
Yeah.
But now we're getting to the point today where that is addressed, where there was a comic book written called Kingdom Come where they actually killed the Joker so that he wouldn't continuously get out.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that? Your Supergirl compared to the superheroes today who actually kill the bad guy?
That's interesting. I never thought about that. I mean, you're probably more of an expert than I am in terms of having read more, but I guess where our taste for things being more graphic or more realistic, just as the culture, probably is why it's moving in that direction. Whereas back then, maybe it would have been, you know, we weren't ready for it or something. But yeah, that's interesting.
Actually, Helen, I got one question for you, and I don't know how well you'll know the answer to this, but you know, with Supergirl originally starting on CBS, and kind of now the big deal is that it's moving over to CW. You know, how does that? I mean, are they going to be able to bring you back? But being on the
Yeah, I mean,
the
I
network,
think
or?
everybody's coming back, but they're moving the whole production up to Vancouver. So it was, 10 minutes from my house. Now it's 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
But everybody, I'm in a better position because my daughter's in college, but a lot of the actors have kids at home, and it's going to be very stressful to move everybody to Canada.
Well, kind of moving on a little bit, you also have a bit of a musical career. You've written some songs, you've produced some albums yourself. Talk a little bit about that.
Okay, I've made 5 records, and the last 2 records are these children records. The last one being The Ugly Duckling, the one before that was The Myths of Ancient Greece. And it's kind of my passion, hobby to sort of write about that.
So how long have you been doing that? I mean, are you self-taught on the keyboard?
When I went to Performing Arts High School, I was writing the musicals they were called bus and truck musicals, and they would tour the city, and we would take original fairy tales and myths and kind of open them up and